beautiful evening on the campus of Wake Forest University. Ričardas Berankis and Sam Querrey about to square off for a spot in the semifinals. You're watching the Winston-Salem Open. This Winston-Salem Open on Wake Forest University is also an ATP World Tour 250 event. Sam Querrey and Ričardas Berankis coming out after a little bit of rain earlier tonight. They are raring to go. It's a rematch of last year's Los Angeles final here in Winston-Salem. And good evening, everyone. I'm Sam Gore alongside Jimmy Arias. Jimmy, this culminates our day of quarterfinals, and what a day it's been.
We expect great matches on the ATP Tour, and that's exactly what we got today. It started with Alexander Dolgopolov early in the day at noon, these two, and Randy Liu, Winston Liu, but he calls himself Randy in the U.S., and it was Dolgopolov who had a little mishap, smashing his thumb on a follow-through with his forehand, but righted the ship at the end of the second set, reeled off the last 4 games. Next up was Gael Monfils and Fernando Verdasco, 2 former top 10 players in the heat of the day. These two are struggling in the second set. Verdasco had won a tight first set. Monfils was able to hit a couple of shots like that in the second set, hang on in the third set. A tough 3-set win for Gael Monfils, trying to get himself back into the top 20 in the world. And then finally, Jürgen Melzer against Dmitry Tursunov, and Melzer was all over the place today, played brilliantly, scrambling, giving you a combination of different types of things, including touch coming up to the net. It was Melzer's day over Tursunov, who's been very hot this summer.
So 3 of our semifinal spots have been booked, and here's where we stand at the moment. You'll see Monfils and Dolgopolov tomorrow at 3 Eastern on ESPN2. Tonight, we're competing for that last semifinal spot, and the winner will face Jürgen Melzer. So, Jimmy, let's start to set up this next match. Obviously, the first question is the physical condition of these guys. Sam Querrey went into full body cramps after his match yesterday, over 2 hours, 18 minutes against Jarkko Nieminen. Berankis played 75 minutes. Could that be a factor?
Well, you would think that that's obviously a great advantage for Berankis. Having said that, Sam Querrey said, I saw him just a few minutes ago, said he feels great. He had an ice bath after the match. He's been drinking a lot of fluids. He says he should be fine today. And he does have an easy win against Berankis the one time they played in the finals of LA last year, Lovin 2. Although both players admit Berankis was so nervous. That was his first final ever, and it showed. He wasn't able to play up to his best.
Well, where can Berankis hurt Sam Querrey?
Well, look, he's got a big game. He's not the biggest guy, but he hits a serve as big as anybody. If you keep it in his slot, right around hip to chest height, he's going to hurt Sam Querrey. Sam's planning on hitting it a little bit higher than that, getting it out of his strike zone, but he's certainly a beautiful ball striker, Berankis.
Berankis, a former world #1 junior. Injuries have kept him from really making his mark at the ATP World Tour level. Tonight he has a chance to get things going before the U.S. Open, but Sam Querrey, the only American left, will have the crowd on his side as he pursues the semifinals. The match coming up next.
The Winston-Salem Open is brought to you by BB&T, sharing knowledge for a brighter direction. Member FDIC. USTA, find yourself in the game. Visit USTA.com to learn more. And Emirates, enjoy award-winning service on our newest flight, non-stop from JFK to Milan. Advantage in car insurance. And Emirates. Fly Emirates. Hello tomorrow. ESPN's presentation of the Winston-Salem Open is brought to you by Champion, proud sponsor of the Winston-Salem Open. Play like a champion. Esurance, with online tools and express lane quoting, Esurance gives you the advantage in car insurance. And Emirates, fly Emirates, hello tomorrow.
Well, this is the final event of the Emirates Airline U.S. Open Series, and we have our winner in the bonus challenge. It is Rafael Nadal. Nadal, of course, winning the back-to-back Masters 1000 events in Montreal and Cincinnati. John Isner, had he played here and gotten to the semifinals, he could have passed Rafa to win the bonus challenge. And, of course, Washington winner Del Potro finishing in third place. But John Isner deciding not to play in his hometown tournament in order to save himself for the U.S. Open, even though he could have won that bonus challenge. And you were saying earlier you think that was probably a pretty good decision, and Sam Querrey even told us earlier he agreed with it as well.
Other than the cash that he may have been able to double up at the U.S. Open, if he has a great U.S. Open, you can make as much as $1 million.
But if you're going to strain yourself here, you
probably wouldn't win the U.S. Open, so you probably wouldn't make the $1 million. Sam's going to start serving.
Querrey is leading the tournament in aces this week. In fact, he had an ace at match point last night against Nieminen to end that match in the final set tiebreak. He had a tough time yesterday against Jarkko Nieminen, fought off 5 match points. He was down 3-6 in the third set tiebreak. 19 aces in that match, though. Querrey, 29 in the world right now. 21-17 record, but 17 of those wins have been on this surface. It's been in a lot of tight matches this year. Querrey, in fact, has saved 10 match points total over the course of 3 different matches this year. And for Berankis, Jimmy, obviously last year's Los Angeles final was a nightmare for him. It was bittersweet. He made his first tour final, but he got beat bad because he was nervous. So what can he take from that? And
you know what, not much. I don't think either player knows much about the other, because it wasn't Berankis at his best. And that's exactly what Sam said. I asked Sam about that, and he said, look, I don't think that was Berankis' game. He was just, the moment was too big. He was overwhelmed, and he doesn't expect the same thing today. He did respect Berankis' power. He said he's not the biggest guy, but he does come with power.
Still game point for Querrey. That was the last singles match played in the hallowed Los Angeles event. Last summer it was part of the Emirates Airline U.S. Open Series. The event has gone away now. We were joking with Sam, yeah, because he He won Las Vegas, Serbia, and Los Angeles, and now those tournaments cease to exist. He said, "You don't want me winning your tournament."
And Winston Salem is cheering against him, at least if he makes the finals.
Querrey hangs on. He said the only one he knows is safe is Queen's Club.
Yes, it's been around forever, but LA had been around forever.
Sam is a very friendly, laid-back guy. So is Ričardas Berankis. These are two of the friendlier players that you'll ever want to meet. But I'm looking forward to seeing Berankis serve, Jimmy, because he's the only player in the field that hasn't dropped serve this week. Berankis has held 30 straight service games since he came to Winston-Salem. So Querrey's going to have to deal with that.
Well, and again, he's got a big serve, but when you're his height, you see he's 126 in the world. He's got a winning record this year, and especially on hard court. Only 5'9".
He told us a funny story today about getting into the main draw at the U.S. Open, how close he was to missing it.
Well, because 126 does not get into the U.S. Open, but he had that final of L.A. points. It lasted one day, just long enough. On a Sunday when the entries were taken for the U.S. Open, he was in. By the next day, on Monday, he wouldn't have been in. Yeah, having said that, yeah, he's not so happy in the end as maybe he would have been rather trying to get through qualies than face Djokovic in the first round.
Big off-speed serve there out wide.
Good idea, go at the body with some power to Querrey. Important for Berankis to get on the board early. After you've lost to a guy 11-2, you don't want to get behind early a couple of games, or you start bringing back those old memories. So from love 30 to 30 all, this is a somewhat important game. I know it's very early, but it's important for Berankis. Querrey's not been overly happy with the tension on his rackets. And you can see him twice now missing forehands and sort of pinging the racket strings.
Is there a reason for that?
Well, he says the stringer is stringing tight. It's he normally strings his rackets at 58. He's stringing at the moment here at 44 pounds. So 14 pounds less than he normally strings it. He's just the machine here is stringing tighter than he's accustomed.
Good move forward by Berankis. His second trip into the net gets him game point.
Good combination here with a wide serve, and now he gets Querrey moving. Sam moves well for his size, but that would still be more of a weakness, something that you want to exploit if you're Berankis. Try to get him outside the court early. Points.
Berankis is now just 23 years of age. And the former world #1 junior, but in 2010 he was the youngest player in the year-end top 100. Things were going nicely for him as he transitioned from the juniors to the ATP World Tour, but injuries have been a huge setback for him and have really stunted his growth.
I tell you, it's a tight enough net here that when you do hit one that drops over, it gets a little bit height, and you can see it here. That ball jumped up in the air, gave Berankis enough time to run it down and show some pretty good speed and touch.
He's built like a tank. And he's just a body of muscle. Querrey makes him pay for that.
Use.
Pretty important game, as I said. Sam with great anticipation on the first forehand. That was a poor volley from Berankis.
Big shots from Querrey.
Advantage Querrey.
Known for his forehand, serve and forehand, Querrey. That was a beautiful backhand down the line. He develops that with some consistency. Look out.
Break point.
Use.
Berankis, coming out of the juniors, was invited to Dubai to train with Roger Federer. Federer had great things to say about how hard he works. He is known as a very hard worker off the court. Reputation as a nice guy, very humble young man. He's a huge celebrity in his native Lithuania. Everyone in the country knows him, from athletes to artists. A popular figure there.
Advantage Berankis.
Long service game from Berankis. This will be the 15th point of the game for him. Seen a little bit of everything in this first game, Jim.
Yes, we have. It's actually the second game. You just forgot.
First game, first service game.
Yes.
For Berankis.
Too many errors like that for Berankis that he's going to have to, he's not going to get away with today against Querrey. Querrey's so tough to break himself. Berankis has got to be a little more solid on his own serve. I know he hasn't been broken in the tournament, but it's hard to, I mean, he does serve well for his size, but still. Querrey's certainly in this game, he's been in this game with a chance.
Advantage Berankis.
Querrey's had a tough week this week. He's had to survive 2 3-setters. He was a semifinalist here last year. Lost to Berdych in the semis, whereas Berankis has breezed through his draw. He's won 2 straight set matches. Ouch. And Berankis gets through that marathon service game, 18 points long. The scoreboard says 1-all. So how much of a relief is that?
Huge for Berankis. He, again, lost 11-2 the last time they played. That's going to, he's going to remember that, certainly. You got to erase those memories early. That was an important game for him. Querrey having a little trouble serving early on. He's serving at 29% first serve. He's gotten 2 first serves in so far. Throws in a double.
Yeah. I think Berankis would be a pretty tough guy to drop shot.
Yeah, that was a bad idea for a couple of reasons. One, Berankis doesn't really back up. He takes the ball early. He's got great timing, takes on the rise, and he moves well. So I would think Sam would maybe learn from that point. Again, pinging his racket, unhappy with the string tension for Querrey. You can see that he wants to start the points off with a high, a little more height, a little heavier, more spin than he normally hits. But then when he gets the forehand he likes, which is the one he missed, he's going to go for it.
Break point here for Berankis, saved by Querrey. He's got one more to face. One thing Sam has said he's made a conscious effort to do is when things get tight in a match, he wants to play more aggressively rather than more defensively. Take it to his opponent. And that's exactly what he's done on these two great points.
It's easier to do when you start the points off with serves like that. For Querrey, two big serves on both break points.
Which I guess is what makes it even more important for a guy like Querrey, because he does have that weapon he can do it with. What a response. He's blown it by Berankis the last 3 points when he was down 15-40.
That last serve 134 miles an hour.
Indeed. Sam Querrey fired up. A couple of aces to get out of trouble.
Querrey leads 2 games to 1.
Look at the Esurance Tournament summary, and here's where we stand. 3 of our 4 quarterfinals are in the history books. Dolgopolov earlier today getting past Liu. He will face Monfils tomorrow at 3 Eastern here on ESPN2, and then Meltzer and Tursunov was earlier tonight. Meltzer getting past Tursunov. He'll play the winner of this quarterfinal. All 8 quarterfinalists today seeking their first title of 2013. John Isner has been the only winner this event has seen. This is just its 3rd year of existence, the Winston-Salem Open. Isner, back-to-back champ, but electing not to play this week, getting himself ready for the U.S. Open after a fantastic summer. John Isner, the best summer of his career. Good movement, though, by Querrey.
He wasn't lying, I think, when he said his legs were doing fine after cramping up yesterday. Let's take a look at the movement. This is not what the big fella wants to be doing, by the way. But nearly came up with that little flick forehand.
Easier service game so far for Berankis at 40-15. Well, the thing that impressed us, Jimmy, in fact, we kind of doubted it when he first told us. We said, you know, how are you feeling? What'd you do? And he said, did you get an IV? And he said, nah. And he was in full-on cramps last night after the match.
He should have gotten an IV, I still think.
But he's looking strong. He told us he took an ice bath. He, you know, hydrated excessively. Protein shake. I mean, he's doing all the right things, but the level of cramping he was experiencing, we just assumed he'd need a little more. That's a big forehand from Berankis to put a stamp on this service game. 2-all.
Pretty nice 1-2 punch from Berankis. That's what you expect Querrey to be doing. Berankis takes the ball very early. Even off Querrey's first serve. He's up right on the baseline.
Berankis had an excellent start to the year this year. He made the third round of the Australian Open after coming through the qualifying and lost to Andy Murray in the third round there. Made the quarters in Delray Beach just after that. Quarters in Houston. And then things really took a fall for Berankis. He had trouble winning matches after April.
There's a reason for that. You can see just from the way he's playing here. Once it moves to a clay court, the ball tends to get out of his strike zone. He's going to make too many errors. You can't hit the first shot, second shot winner. He's sort of a guy, Berankis, that's trying to blast winners or aggressive, flatter shots. You can't get away with that on clay.
Overhits that a little bit. 40 love. Berankis, again, he's only 23 years old. Still a lot of time for him to get his career back on track. A Men's Journal did a piece earlier this year on players to keep an eye on, and Berankis was in that issue with Dimitrov, Raonic, Harrison, Goffin, and Tomic.
Berankis hit one shot in that sequence that I wasn't happy with, and that was a backhand pass cross court. Watch this, and they thought it was good enough. So he stood there for a minute admiring his shot. Querrey made him hit another shot, but couldn't get enough on the volley to knock it off. Don't admire his shot. Hit and recover.
Querrey with another ace to hold. He's up to 3 now, and he's up 2-3 as well. Earlier this week at the Winston-Salem Open, Emirates Airline conducted a clinic for kids from Winston-Salem Young Folks Tennis as part of their summer-long Emirates Returns program. In connection with this initiative, Emirates will contribute a total of $140,000 in grants and equipment to support youth tennis and education programs in series markets. And every tournament we've been to this summer, Emirates has been there doing these clinics. You saw former great Mal Washington participating in that one. They have done a tremendous job for youth tennis in every city the Emirates Airline U.S. Open Series has gone this summer. We'll do a little teaching, Jimmy. What can these kids learn from these two tonight?
Well, those kids that we just saw probably have to watch for a few years. They weren't quite ready for the big time yet. But the most important thing that today's players do is it's really about movement, recognition of where to go. You don't stand, you don't hit the ball and stand and watch. You got to hit and move to where the next shot most likely will be headed.
Well, excuse me, Jimmy, but it almost sounds like when the teacher tells you to look up a word you don't know how to spell. How do you know where the next shot is headed?
Well, that's from playing a lot of matches, and you hit certain shots, and generally the ball comes back to the same spot.
Good one there from Querrey.
Really get back to the center of returns is the way you really have to do it. But now I need a diagram to help you out.
We need a telestrator.
Yeah. Another pressure point here for Berankis on his serve. Thrown in a couple of doubles in important moments.
This is an important moment now. Break point for Querrey. Longest games have been on the Berankis serve.
Hasn't been broken in the tournament, as you said. He was 30 for 30 coming in. Double.
It's just been broken for the first time, and he actually gives the break to Querrey. So Berankis is down early here in the first set. As Querrey takes the 4-2 lead. A lot of youngsters here this weekend. You've also got the USTA National 14 and under doubles tournament going on in the Winston-Salem area this weekend. A lot of those kids came over to watch today and are here tonight. It's contagious. Double fall from Querrey. Winston-Salem is a huge tennis area in this part of the South. Greensboro, Winston-Salem area. It supports a lot of tennis events.
Sam Querrey is not known for his defense, but he defended beautifully here. Sort of a miss-hit ball that turned into an overhead. Querrey says, look what I found.
We talked about how it's probably not a good idea to drop shot Berankis. How about Querrey? Is that a smart play?
Not a bad idea when we saw that last run by Querrey. It wasn't. He's gotten quicker and less loud. When he used to run for drop shots, you could hear his size 15 shoes running for 2 or 3 courts down. He's much more nimble now. Great stab pickup from Querrey, but Berankis applying some pressure in this game to get the break right back.
Yeah, you got to like the way Berankis has come out in this return game.
Responding from a 2 double fault loss of serve.
Remember, Querrey faced the same 15-40 score and came out firing a couple of games ago.
That was an important chance for Berankis because he was waiting on the serve. He knew it was coming to forehand. He had a great look at it.
A sigh of relief here from Querrey.
Well, and normally a big server gets away with one and comes up with a big serve the next time. Wow, that's just 2 very fortunate points in a row for Querrey. Berankis did the exact right thing. When you're playing Querrey, he comes in, make him hit a low volley first. Normally he doesn't get a lot on that volley, and then you've got the next shot to hit to the open court. Berankis just catches the top of the tape.
So Querrey fighting off a couple of break points for a second service game.
Berankis is doing some good work off Querrey's first serve. You don't see that very often. He's third on the tour, Querrey, when he gets first serve in winning points, percentage of winning points. He's still doing pretty well today at 71%, but it's the quality of some of these returns from Berankis off Querrey's first serve that's a little surprising.
Wow. 129 out wide to erase yet another break point. So Querrey has now fought off 5 break points against him as Berankis struggles to convert.
That was a good idea from Querrey. He took a lot off the first serve because Berankis has been timing the big serve so well. You could see Berankis out in front of the return.
Sam Querrey has competed well here in this opening set. He's fought off 5 break points against him, and he's a game away from taking this first set here in Winston. Ričardas Berankis serving to stay in this opening set with Sam Querrey. Just 1 break of serve. Berankis had 2 double faults in his last service game and just could not give Sam Querrey 2 free points and survive it. Well, you may notice the ring around the neck of Berankis, and it's a sad story, but an inspirational one. That is the ring of his former coach's son, Alvaras Balzekas, who he lived with the Balzekas family in Lithuania when he worked with the father Remus. Remus very much like a father to him. Well, Alvaras came to the U.S. to attend college and was killed by a drunk driver while attending the University of Miami, and that is his ring. And he was like a brother to Ričardas, and he has kept that ring around his neck ever since that tragic moment. He said he feels like it's a guardian angel with him when he's on the tennis court, and he's never surrendered wearing that ring around his neck. It gives you an idea as to the heart and the character of this young man. He's the type of young man that when you see him, he always walks up and shakes your hand and looks you directly in the eye and asks how you're doing. I mean, he's just very polite, very, very friendly young man, and easy to pull for. All. Jimmy, the obvious question is, are we moving away from guys his size being able to be successful at this level?
Oh, yeah. No question about it. He has to be playing at such a high level or move so well. There's got to be something exceptional about him at his height. I suppose what you could say about him, for his height, he has exceptional power. He's got some pop on his first serve, as we've seen. Hits the ball big from both wings and has shown some flashes of touch as well. That play has worked against Querrey a couple of times.
Game point. There's some of that power you talked about. So Berankis still in the set. Well, the U.S. Open begins Monday. That's August 26th. For the latest news and information, go to usopen.org. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. And this 10th anniversary of the Emirates Airline U.S. Open Series has been a great lead up to the final Grand Slam of the year. We've had a lot of drama this summer, and a lot of storylines have developed in these Emirates Airline U.S. Open Series events. Nadal winning the back-to-back Masters events, Isner sort of resurrecting his year, and Del Potro seems to be back.
Yeah, he seems to be back to the level where he won the U.S. Open in 2009. I know he's still hasn't quite shown up in winning events, but he's playing at a great level.
Querrey's up to 6 aces now in this opening set. Again, he had 19 yesterday against Niemanen. Good shot from Querrey.
13-15.
Three aces in this game for Querrey, serving out the set in style if he can convert one more point.
Querrey has taken the opening set as he pursues another spot in the semifinals here at the Winston Salem Open. Sam Querrey behind 7 aces wraps up the first set, 6-3. Let's take a look at today's match summary brought to you by Champion.
Now you can see both players serving reasonably well in first serve percentage. First serve points won are pretty light for Berankis. You'd expect him to be a little higher than 55%, especially as big as he serves. He's hit nearly as many winners as Sam, but just made too many unforced errors and the break points. That's the biggest stat. 0 for 5 for Berankis in that first set. Querrey 1 of 2.
Second set.
Sam Querrey, so far this week at Winston-Salem, this is the first match he's won the first set. He lost the first set in his previous 2 matches. Had to fight off 5 match points yesterday against Jarkko Nieminen. Jimmy, when you win a match like that, you say 5 match points. The next match, when you come out, is there sort of a feeling of destiny? Do you just feel a tremendous sense of?
You just have less pressure. You don't feel the pressure. You've been up to the wall, and once you get past that, you sort of feel pretty good the rest of the tournament. And you've seen it happen often. Horst Becker's U.S. Open win, he saved a match point where he got lucky. He hit a let cord over Derek Ristagno's racket, then won the tournament. Same thing when he won the Australian. So. And his first Wimbledon when he was 17.
Well, the double faults have continued to bite Berankis in this match. That was really his undoing. The game he got broken in the first set. Do you get that feeling from Querrey tonight? He seems very relaxed.
He does, yes. You do get that feeling. He's won all the big points so far in this match.
Querrey on the verge of starting this second set out with a break. Is Berankis having trouble here?
This is why I was surprised that stat you said at the beginning of the match that Berankis hadn't been broken in the tournament.
That's why I wanted to see it. Yeah.
And the reason I said that is because he's flashy. He's got power. He hits winners, but he'll have a bad game or two.
Berankis overhits that, and Querrey has control of this match as he starts the second set out by a break, and he had a very good first set as well.
Came up with some good defense at times. Not a great volley there from Berankis, so an easy forehand pass. Occasionally ripping the forehand. That's the side that he's hit most of his winners on. And ends up just a 1-break set, but 6-3, and he started off the second set with a break of serve with a lot of help again from Berankis. 4 unforced errors to start the second set.
It's been a good night for Sam Querrey statistically. Just
now
his attitude.
Now he's really got to feel confident. Sort of given another break of serve. It's tough to break Querrey. He's beaten Berankis once before pretty comfortably. He's going to start feeling as though this is going to be a good night for him. The feeling watching Berankis that he's more of a shot maker than sort of a guy that can build the point. He doesn't get you out of position, maneuver you around, then try to take a short ball. He just tries to hit shot after shot. And I think he needs to get that element of building the point, where he can be a little bit more consistent.
How do you develop that?
I think he's got to do it against players that aren't at the top level. Maybe play a few lower challenger type tournaments and start getting a feel for not having to hit a winner off every shot. Watch him and you get the sense he feels like every shot's a green light shot. This looks like a good one to crush. And often he hits shots like that where he just makes an error.
It's up to 21 unforced errors. Already 6 here in the opening 2 games of this second set. And Querrey consolidates, jumps out to a 2-love lead here to start the second set. Seen a lot of youngsters in the audience today and tonight. And we invite you to go to youthtennis.com where you can find out about smaller courts, shorter rackets, balls that bounce lower. You know, it's easier and more fun for kids to play tennis with equipment that is sized right for them. Visit youthtennis.com to find an event near you and get out and play. This is, again, a hotbed of tennis in this part of the country. Junior tennis is huge in the Winston-Salem area.
That was a great little sequence from Berankis. Querrey did something he normally doesn't do and did it well. This ripped the backhand come in. Berankis came up with a 360 spinning slice that stayed low and had some angle to it.
But is this an example in these first 2 points of what you were talking about, Jimmy, where he's just hitting shots?
Yes. There's no building of a point. He's just trying the first ball. That looks like a good shot for me to try a winner off of. And I think there's times when he's got to be able to play some defense. When it's going in, when it's working, it looks pretty impressive. But you get the sense that he's going to play a bad game or 2 on his own serve each set. And that's difficult to overcome.
3 good shots in this game. 40-15. And Berankis is on the board. Ričardas Berankis beginning the long road back. He's down a set and a break to American Sam Querrey. We'll be seeing you on Monday here on ESPN. It's going to be the final Grand Slam of the year, and here's the draw by quarter. You see the top men's seeds: Djokovic, Murray, Ferrer, and Nadal. Your thoughts, Jimmy?
Well, Djokovic, Del Potro, Haas, that's a very tough section of the draw. Nadal, Federer, Isner, who's playing very well. That's the toughest section of the draw. You see David Ferrer section, you might see Jerzy Janowicz or Milos Raonic coming out of that section, as Ferrer hasn't played particularly well.
It'll be the first time Andy Murray has ever defended a Grand Slam, and he's been very open about, I have no idea how I'm going to handle it. It's going to be a new experience.
It is, and he hasn't had a great U.S. Open series so far. He's got Thomas Berdych, who's played pretty well, Wawrinka, who's dangerous, but he'd be the favorite to get out of that section, obviously. Sam Querrey, by the way, is also in that Federer-Nadal section of the draw. Not sure if anyone told Sam that that was his second serve.
He didn't treat it like one.
125-mile-an-hour ace. He might have forgotten.
Querrey's looked very relaxed. You'd never know that he was in the physical condition he was in last night against Niemanen, but just looks like the confidence he gained from getting through that match has made all the difference in the world. You see the sweat still pouring off of him. It's not like it's a cool, easy night to play after that grind yesterday. But his body has recovered exceptionally well.
He's in a little trouble in this game. He got what he thought was a bad call the point before on a shot near the baseline. Complained a little bit to the umpire, but he had the right to stop the point if he was sure. And then follows that up with a double fault, and it gives Berankis his 6th break point of the match.
He's 0 for 6, or 0 for 5, excuse me.
You know something we don't know? Querrey going to win this point?
He's won every other one.
Yeah, he has.
Screen was from Berankis.
I liked that point from Berankis a little better. He stayed in the rally, and he actually had a shot. He's going to have to work a little bit on his forehand on the run. I mean, that was a routine shot, and he's missed a couple of those where you have Querrey getting himself out of position, and all you got to do is hit a running forehand cross court. Long, yeah.
Umpire got involved, and Berankis wants to go to the chase review to make sure.
It's funny, as that was actually called by Sam first. Querrey called it out. The umpire then overruled. And Berankis, because I think of that order, he wants to see, make sure.
Yep. Chase review confirms it's out. And game point Querrey as Berankis' frustrations continue on the return. Querrey holds. He's been living on the edge for the last couple of days. 5 match points yesterday. He's fought off 6 break points today. And tomorrow the semifinals continue. From the Winston Salem Open, we'll have Gael Monfils and Alexander Dolgopolov, 2 of the most talented and entertaining shot makers on the ATP World Tour. Both getting past their opponents today. Both looking for a first title of 2013. It's at 3 Eastern tomorrow on ESPN2. What do you think about that match, Jimmy?
I think it's an absolute toss-up from what we saw. Monfils physically looked as though he were some sort of trouble in the second set. He spent a few points where he didn't even move. He just hit balls and went to his chair. Obviously, if it's hot tomorrow, I guess you'd favor Dolgopolov.
Supposed to be about like it was today, but with an increased chance of rain. So humidity may be up.
13-15.
Good game going here by Berankis. He's picked it up the past few games. The scoreboard still, though, showing he's down a break. Good serving game from Berankis as he's got things going in a better direction at the moment, but he's got to find a way to break Sam Querrey here in the second set.
Ça va commencer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Wimbledon champions.
Welcome to the US Open.
Well, you know what that music means. It means it's Grand Slam time.
Not today.
US Open beginning on Monday.
It's
the final event before the US Open. Chase review confirms it's out. Certainly, Jimmy, don't you think Isner and Querrey could be factors at the U.S. Open?
Yes, except that they're in the same quarter and they're in that Nadal-Federer quarter. So for me, it's awfully difficult for both guys.
Good pass. Well, I know Sam has a little more to prove going into the U.S. Open, but don't you feel like the way Isner played this summer, he's put himself in the conversation with the top guys in this last major?
Look, no question about it. It's just that the problem, his draw is reasonably tough. He might have Monfils as early as the second round, and that's a guy that returns well, defends well, and you get the sense he likes to play five-setter. So even if Isner gets through something like that, he physically might be in a little trouble. And then we'll have to contend with Nadal, he's undefeated on hard court somehow this year. He's won back-to-back hard court tournaments for the first time in his career.
Hasn't lost a hard court match this year. 30 off for Querrey as he tries to protect this one-break lead.
Berankis has proven one thing, that he can get to break point. Has yet to get past this part of the match. His 7th break point, second in this set. And they've happened in multiple games. He's had chances in a lot of different service games. That was pretty close, but I'm not going to argue. Second serve, a real chance here for Berankis now.
Berankis has broken as the call came in a little late, but that was exactly what he needed. Gets the break back with this backhand.
Yeah, he continued doing what he does, Berankis, and that is go for shots. He had a break point. He's at 7. Maybe in his mind he says, eventually I'm going to connect with one of these. And that's exactly what happened. The break back, a little bit of a loose game from Querrey. We'll see if Berankis can build on it or if he'll play another loose game on his own serve. That was a frustrating return for Querrey. His 100-mile-an-hour second serve is good second serve, but it was right in the forehand slot.
Querrey with a little opening here, trying to get that break right back.
Two frustrating forehands from Querrey. That's his bread and butter. Missed the forehand return at love 15, and now at 15-30 had a great opportunity at a forehand pass.
Berankis in danger of surrendering the break right back. 30-40. Is this the case, Jimmy? We're not having that big shot. Hurts Berankis.
It's a case we're not being solid. Hurts Berankis. He's made 2 first shot errors in this game, and then that forehand just a cross court ball.
Goes for the drop shot. Yeah, probably not the best shot selection. He'd be the first to tell you. But Querrey's back in front by a break. Here back in front by a break. Jimmy, you have something to share with us?
Well, let's just take a look at Sam Querrey's first serve direction. It's mostly down the tee. He's had a couple of aces out wide in both sides, but he seems to prefer tee. That's where you go when you go with the big flat serve. And he's used it to his advantage for the most part. Not serving particularly well in this set. 32% first serve percentage for Querrey. If Berankis could cut out some of the weak service games that he's played, he would cause some problems. He would cause some pressure on Querrey because Querrey's accustomed to holding serve a little more comfortably than he's been able to hold today. I mean, look at that.
Yeah, love that.
Time after time, he's hit first serves and then been defending. That's not something that Querrey's accustomed to. He's accustomed to first serve. Now let me crush a forehand. Berankis out hitting Querrey in the forehand winner department. That's a little bit surprising.
Double fault from Querrey, feeling a little pressure.
That's the pressure on his serve that he's feeling, as even his first serve is being dealt with somewhat harshly. He's got to find a spot to serve to. Long and wide is not the correct one.
When you say find a spot to serve to, Jimmy, is that a default setting that players should go back to?
Well, I mean, he's got to find either body. There's always a place when you're a big server like Querrey where you're going to get some free points. And he hasn't really found it. The best one that he's used is out wide and a little off speed. That one. Ooh, that's...
Berankis stops the point.
This is either a break of serve or a loss of a big opportunity for Berankis. Umpire looked at Querrey and said he's not sure. So this was awfully close. Risky move from Berankis.
The chase review will be the decider. Oh, just touched. So Berankis at break point decides to stop that point. He still has break point, however.
Mr. Berankis has one challenge.
What do you think, Jimmy? Can you blame him?
No, I mean, I would feel as though you want to really be sure in that situation, obviously. And tough to do because he was so in the point. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Berankis, he breaks back. So we've now had 2 service breaks for each man in the second set as Querrey struggling to try to close this out.
Again, he doesn't seem happy with the racket tension. You can see after missing that backhand, he's looking at the strings, he's hitting the strings. It's strange. You watch Berankis and you feel as though he has more trouble if you give him a nothing ball. High spinner, slow slice. Well, it's been 2 in a row where he's just 2 slow balls, nothing on him, and he's slapped them out.
He's had trouble holding serve after he breaks.
33 unforced errors in a set and a half. I mean, that's...
Well, 19 of them have been here in this set.
50-30.
But if ever he was going to hold, it needs to be now at 4-all.
Hard to believe he could break 3 times in a row. He's just broken twice in a row, Berankis.
Querrey's got a chance to break for a 3rd time and then serve for the match.
I mean, from what I'm watching, if I'm Querrey, I serve 73 miles an hour in the next game because every time I hit a big serve, Berankis times it beautifully, uses that pace against me. And he's struggling when the ball has no pace.
Well, the double faults have come at awful times today for Berankis, and That one may cost him the match. Sam Querrey needs to hold serve to put himself in the semis.
Querrey leads 5 games to 4.
Here at the Winston-Salem Open. Beautiful night here on the campus of Wake Forest University, where this tournament is part of the Emirates Airline US Open Series, and we invite you to go to EmiratesUSOpenSeries.com for news, standings, and more, including the Emirates Player Spotlight. EmiratesUSOpenSeries.com. Sam Querrey has been broken his last 2 service games, but that's a great start trying to close this match out.
Hard to believe he'll get broken 3 times in a row.
Well,
especially the way that 4-all game went.
Yeah, Berankis was so disappointed when he went to that changeover position. You can see that is a sign of his frustration right there. But it's a better match than last year when we saw him play in Los Angeles.
No question about it.
And Querrey hammers his way to triple match point.
14. Game Querrey.
Roller coaster second set. Querrey survives it. And this American crowd happy to see Sam Querrey survive and move on to the semifinals.
They're used to big, tall Americans winning this event. John Isner a couple of times the first 2 years they played it, and now Sam Querrey in 2013 is taking Isner's place. He's into the semifinals. And the crowd maybe not quite as happy with him as they are with Isner. Isner a local boy,
but they've adopted him as John's doubles partner.
That's true.
So we have our semifinalists here at the Winston-Salem Open, the final event of the Emirates Airline US Open Series on the men's side. Querrey will face Jürgen Meltzer tomorrow, Jimmy. And then we'll have Monfils and Dolgopolov at 3 Eastern on ESPN2 as well.
Interesting matches for the semifinal. Talented players, former top 10s, all of them other than Sam Querrey.
All of them searching for their first title of 2013 as well. One of them is going to come out a winner for the first time this year, as well as become a new champion of the Winston-Salem Open. Sam Querrey books his spot in the last 4, and we'll talk to him when we come back in just a moment.
ESPN's presentation of the Winston-Salem Open is brought to you by Champion, proud sponsor of the Winston-Salem Open. Play like a champion. USTA. Find yourself in the game. Visit USTA.com to learn more. And Emirates. Enjoy award-winning service on our newest flight, non-stop from JFK to Milan.
Well, after a grueling match last night, Sam Querrey got through this one a little quicker in 1 hour, 9 minutes, defeating Ričardas Berankis 6-3, 6-4 to storm into the semifinals. And Sam Querrey gracious enough to join us here from courtside. Sam, how do you feel after that match? You played a lot of tennis the past 3 days.
I feel good. It was nice to get one a little shorter there. The first two were long, so it's nice to have a two-set match there.
How much confidence is this bringing to the U.S. Open for you, this semifinal run?
It's big. You know, I hadn't had a lot of results this summer, so it's it's nice to have one, especially the week before the U.S. Open, and I'm hoping I can keep it going and win 2 more matches and really go into the Open with some confidence.
Well, Jürgen Melzer up next. What are your thoughts on that semifinal?
He's tough. It's always tricky playing a lefty. He can step up and rip it from both sides. He's quick, so I'm gonna have to play well to beat him.
Sam, take us through the thought process right now when you're a couple of days away from a Grand Slam but still competing in the semifinals of a tournament. Do you really have to compartmentalize?
Yeah, it could be tricky. The U.S. Open draw came out today, so you can't not look at it. So, of course, I've looked at it and I know who I'm playing, but you still have a job to do here. So, right now my focus is the match tomorrow. I'm not even going to think about the U.S. Open. I'm going to finish this week up. And then once I get to New York, really set my eyes on the big tournament.
Okay, Sam, congratulations tonight.
Thank you.
Sam Querrey, a winner. And now let's take a look at our Emirates moment of the match.
Sam Querrey is not really known for his defensive skills, but he showed them in this point in our moment of the match, defending with this little flick passing shot down low and then taking care of the running forehand cross court.
So Sam Querrey into the semifinals. We'll have an encore presentation for you when we return. We'll take you to earlier today and begin the 3rd set of Monfils and Verdasco.